The scribes want to scalp DeShaun Foster, but I have a reason UCLA will keep the guy at least until the end of the year. Max Muncy is the Rosetta Stone for Dodger wins, even when he doesn't do anything, and the training staff for both the Rams and Chargers need to do a better job of taping ankles. Good morning. I'm James. And this is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the Faithful Angelenos Morning Report. It is September 9th, 2025. Welcome back. I am still stuck in mini scrotum, where they are all celebrating a win over the Chicago Bears, and I am celebrating how this state has made my allergies go into overdrive. Hey, do you like being in the know about LA sports? Well, if you do, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. It'll let you know when we drop an update. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And by all means, comment. Now, before we go through the news and notes and look at the scoreboard, Dodgers 3, Colorado 1. The Dodger magic number, now just 19. Tyler Glasnow pitches 7 no-hit innings. Gee! Magic formula. Maybe if you don't pull your starter after 4 or 5 innings, the bullpen doesn't get overworked. Who knew? Meanwhile, today, Colorado's at the Dodgers at 7, and a somewhat important WNBA game, if there ever is such a thing as an important WNBA game. The Sparks are at Phoenix at 7. The Sparks need to win to keep their dim playoff hopes alive. They have to win their final 2 games and then hope Seattle falls to Golden State tonight. So what do you say we get to the news? Want to start off with a little bit of news on UCLA football. We have a tidbit more intel on third-string quarterback Pierce Clarkson's felony arrest. They are alleging assault with a deadly weapon with great bodily injury. However, LAPD said the weapon was not a firearm. So that's kind of clear? I don't know. Meanwhile, CBSSports.com is joined about a half dozen other scribes claiming that UCLA coach DeShaun Foster is on the hot seat and that booty is going to get scorched any moment now. Basically, they want their scalp. And maybe it's because the Bruins are the only winless team in the Big Ten. Or maybe it's because they got their feelings hurt by Foster's media lockout. You tell me. My gut feeling says it's the latter, by the way. I know how petty those guys are. Now, do they have any sources that suggest athletic director Martin Jarmond is furrowing his brow, twirling the end of a mustache, sharpening an axe, getting some rope to tie DeShaun Foster to a railroad track? Of course not. Of course not. But they did include a little tidbit that you might find helpful if you've already made up your mind about Foster. If Foster gets run before December, UCLA will be on the hook for 70% of his contract, which isn't exactly a large contract, but UCLA is doing whatever they can to get any sort of money. After December 1st, it drops to 60% of Foster's remaining contract. And it seems to me that when you're an athletic program that's tens of millions of dollars in debt, that 10%, that $300K would make a difference. Because one, it would be after the end of the regular season, should the Bruins not reach a bowl game. 2, we have gone at great length describing how much of a financial bind the UCLA athletic program is in. As a public school, even in a state like California, as a public school, UCLA is somewhat held accountable by the taxpayer. And $300K remains a sizable savings to most of us. So I'm skeptical the guy gets drummed out of a job until after the USC game, November 29th. Look, for UCLA to fire Foster before, they'd have to find a new guy who can, A, they can afford, B, a guy who could right the ship and theoretically fill enough seats at the Rose Bowl to offset the money they'd owe Foster. Do you see that? Because I don't. Coaches like that, I don't see it. So I think you're stuck with Foster until the end of the year. Let me know, of course, what you think in the comments thread. I have a regular viewer of this show who loves him some Max Muncy. He's never said this, but in so many words, he's implying it's like Muncy means as much to the Dodgers as Mookie Betts or Shohei Ohtani. It took years before I could buy into something like that because let's be honest, the dude looks like he should be on a beer league softball team, right? But if the Dodgers finally decide to lock in, and they have won 2 consecutive games, so it might be due to the guy coming back after missing 23 games to an oblique injury. And this after missing another month of the season to a bone bruise near the knee. Dave Roberts stopped flinging rose petals at the base of Muncy's locker to tell the press, quote, "It's a big boost. We've been waiting for this one for a long time," unquote. Now, did Muncy make a difference on Monday? The stats say, no. He batted cleanup, he went 0 for 3, and yet, which is probably my viewer's point all along, the Dodgers still won. I don't know how it makes sense, but it works. People look at my wife, they look at me, and they go, how does that make sense? How did a schlub like you wind up with somebody like that? I don't know, but to us it makes sense. Now, to make room for Muncy, the Dodgers returned catcher Chucky Robinson to AAA. Both Rams starting offensive guards, Steve Avila and Kevin Dotson, are week to week because of ankle sprains. Sean McVay said we'll know on Wednesday whether or not either of the two or both can go against Sunday's match against the Tennessee Titans. Of the two, I would suppose Avila is most likely to play because he did get injured Sunday but returned to the game. Pro Football Focus, or POOF, said Dotson was the 6th best guard in the NFL in week 1. How they managed to figure that out, I'll be damned if I know. When Avila returned, it was to replace Dotson on the right side. Then Bo Limmer was summoned off the bench to play the left, which might be the lineup Sunday. If this matters, the Dodgers, and it does, by the way, sorry, the allergies. The Rams invested a lot 2 years ago in the middle of their offensive line to protect Matthew Stafford from an interior blitz, as well as to give Kyron Williams running lanes. Moreover, it matters because the Rams only have 2 backup interior linemen, Limmer and former USC guard Justin Dedich. Now, thankfully, the Titans' defense last year stank. They were 29th in scoring defense. I think the Rams should be able to get by with that backup lineup. We finally got a little bitty teaspoon of candor from Jim Harbaugh about an injured Chargers player. Starting linebacker Denzel Perryman hurt his ankle Sunday. Harbaugh was asked about a timeline. The answer, quote, "That I don't know," unquote. At least he was direct, right? No obfuscation. Like all throughout training camp, whenever somebody had an owie, Harbaugh would be like, I'm not a doctor. No, Perriman? Oh, he's hurt somewhere below the privates. I'm not a doctor. You got your privates and then you got everything below. Somewhere in there, Perriman hurts. At least he didn't go that route this time. Perriman was only in for 8 plays Friday against Kansas City before his ankle went kerblam. Troy Dye, a special teamer, went the rest of the way, finished with 4 tackles. Man, I love me the meds I took last night. Anyway, something to keep an eye on with the Chargers. Is Greg Roman letting Justin Herbert have some more autonomy in the offense? Another NFL coach told The Athletic the Chargers are finally letting Herbert throw on early downs. Even if the Chargers last year got the chains to move, everybody on defense already knew that the Bolts were going to run on first down, which would put Herbert and the offensive unit in the hot seat on second because you would just load the box. In Friday's game, however, when they beat Kansas City, the Bolts passed 15 times and 20 chances on early downs in the first half. Now, I'm not sure it's fair to say that the Chargers have made this grand philosophical change in one game, but a third opposing NFL coach added, quote, "I'd be embarrassed if I had a dynamic guy who could throw it all over the place and he's averaging 150 yards passing per game." There is an acknowledgement that Herbert is really effing good, unquote. Now, this makes sense because, as you recall, last year Herbert was only throwing for about 150 passing yards per game. The Chargers were extremely committed to the run. But in order to be extremely committed to the run, you have to have an interior offensive line. That would be useful, which, as we previously established, the Rams have and the Chargers don't. Finally, with the Chargers, I cruise social media like anybody else, and I have to tell you, I spent a good chunk of the weekend not caring that Chargers defensive lineman Tier Tart slapped Taylor Swift's fiance. I don't care. Slapped. Maybe he did in fact throw a punch. I still don't care. A bunch of Swifties went after the Chargers on social media. And so what? I will say this, thankfully, with a game out in Brazil, I guess Tay-Tay didn't bother to load up the private jet to go to Rio de Janeiro, because I don't recall seeing her on the broadcast, which was a delight. I have repeated that I do not trust the reporting of former ESPN scribe Mark Stein. He always reports on trades that, golly shucks, just came so close to happening, but didn't. And as a former scribe, I'm here to tell you it's one of the easiest ways to get a byline and make you sound important when it's not. Team A calls Team B about a player. Team B tells Team A to go to hell. Gee, that's a trade that almost happened. No, it didn't. So, of course, ESPN hired Adrian Wojnarowski, a guy who breaks stories about trades as they happen. And then Stein was suddenly expendable and found himself in the food stamp line. And if there's one thing we know about Mark Stein, that guy can put away some nachos. So, Stein is going on his Substack to report Andrew Wiggins is a player that the Lakers would want if Miami made him available. Gee, what a stunner. But then you're saying, okay, let's play this game. Is Wiggins available? No, not really. Okay, well, maybe he'll be available later on. How could the Lakers make the salaries match? Well, they could give him Austin Reed. Click. There's no bleeping way the Lakers want. The Lakers have been saying this for years. At some point, we're just going to have to trust them. They don't want to trade Austin Reeves. The only way they would trade Austin Reeves is if Reeves, toward the trade deadline, said, you know what, I've had it with LA, get me out. That would make sense. But nobody in Reeves' camp says he doesn't like LA. He's never said he hates the Lakers. He knows damn well that if it weren't for the Lakers, nobody would know who Austin Reeves is. Austin Reeves put in the work to be a player. No doubt about that. But the Lakers still had to give him some playing time. And the coaching. So, yeah. Now, you could say matching some people at the end of the bench with Rui Hachimura would work financially. But Miami is not run by the same chowderheads who gifted Luka Doncic to LA. The Heat are run by Pat Riley. He is not a stupid man, and he is not going to give LA Andrew Wiggins, even if they do put a statue of him outside of Crypto.com arena. So stop it, Mark. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. Talk to me if you think DeShaun Foster will get run before November 30th. For that matter, Max Muncy, can you explain why the Dodgers win with him? And if you enjoyed this update, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We're talking LA sports every single day here. Thank you for watching. I'm James, and we'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Corte El Queso production. Take care.